When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite, obey your thirst.
News team, assemble!
It's back and bigger than ever. It's the Unofficial 40 from Soonerscoop.com. Now, here's the entire Sooner Scoop crew. Carrie, Josh, Eddie, and
George.
All right, welcome back. It is the Unofficial 40 podcast. As I'm yelling over the music, I need to turn it down. We are back. It is a National Signing Day edition of the Unofficial 40. We're here with the crew. Josh McCuistion is joining us from Houston. Eddie Radosevich is joining us here in studio, along with George Stoya, and I am Kerry Murdoch. It's time for your Unofficial 40 podcast. Had a couple of press conferences today. You'll hear them in their entirety on the Sooner Scoop editorial page if you want to go find them. Oh, the regular page. Scoop page.
Regular
okay.
page.
My bad. So, yeah, you can find those on the Sooner Scoop YouTube page. Also, a practice report that we did today detailing some of the key points at the press conference. But we welcome in the godfather of modern-day OU internet recruiting, Josh McCuistion. Josh, what were your thoughts on the press conferences today?
The first thought was I am still having to get used to this whole setup. I wonder if OU fans can relate to that, because as soon as Brent was done, I turned it off. I totally forgot about Jim Nagy, and then I've gone back and watched it since, so thankfully we do have that on the YouTube channel. But I thought it was really interesting how I felt like they were pretty much in lockstep. Like, it didn't feel like two guys with two different stories of what had happened and how it had all gone down. It seems like, and we're seeing it in 27, where it seems like they're on the same page at this point.
It's really interesting to be hearing both of them talk about just the way that they've worked together over the last 6-7 months and getting this together, because I think people do forget that as accelerated as everything is in the recruiting world nowadays. I mean, we talked about it on the recruiting report, Josh, on YouTube, just in terms of they're already 10 in on 2027, so they kind of had to pick up the ground running. The front office did, and I think it's gone better than maybe I thought it was going to go, just because there was a little bit of unknown with all of these guys working together. But I thought that the Nagy talking about the way that they kind of just outlining how the front office is structured to go from the recruiting analyst, and then they filter in their report to the uppers, whether it be the high-ranking members of the front office, if you will, and then ultimately to Nagy and how he presents it to the coaches and working in concert if they're not on the same page, going through the discrepancy meetings, which they should televise. They should put those on film. I would love to watch those. I think it's gone really, really well, and obviously the way that 2027 is off to a start, it's been pretty good. And I think this 2026 class, it certainly is light in some areas that I know that we'll get into at offensive line and obviously quarterback, but it's meeting needs. And I think that you can see a lot of the guys that they have brought in really fit this program, just in terms of, whether it be the violence from the linebackers or, really the physicality from a couple of the offensive linemen. They love Deacon Schmidt. That was very apparent. Same to be said with Jake Krull. So it's kind of exciting. Obviously doesn't have the burst that old National Signing Days had, but it's kind of the new normal.
Okay.
Is that from? No. I'm sorry. I didn't realize I should. that was my spot.
That was just my. That was just Eddie's. That was a monologue.
Yeah, that was a monologue. Yeah.
That's
Josh,
what. I was like, okay.
Those.
No, yeah, 100%. That, and that's why I just gave him his space. I let him breathe. But no, with I do agree though, Eddie. Like, I think, and a lot of the write-ups that I've done, and there's some stuff up on the site now. There'll be some more over the next 24 hours. I think what I take away from looking at this class is while I think people might not be as over the moon about this class as maybe they have been some others in the past, I think Oklahoma's pretty excited about this class. Like, I think they feel like they got a lot of guys with some upside, and we can get into the position stuff, but like Deacon Schmidt being a very good example. Oklahoma is very excited about Deacon Schmidt. There's no question about it. The edge guys, I know we'll all talk about Jake Krull. Oklahoma really likes what they got in that edge group. So, like, I think there's more probably down the road of this class that we'll look back and say that was a really good group. That was kind of foundational, and maybe not, I don't know if there's a ton of flash and that kind of stuff, but there's better players here than I think people realize.
It's just the way things are. But, I mean, with Oklahoma, they're at least still building through the high school talent. I mean, they haven't needed the portal as much. There've been some really big gets that they've had out of the portal. And I think that's the way they'll operate the best is, they don't have money to go out and get a quarterback and a defensive end and a wide receiver and, whatever, a star, a difference maker on the out. Like, they have to kind of keep it to where, they're only going after a few big high price tag guys every year. And I think Brent's proven in 4 years now, and where you have to feel good about Oklahoma is he's proven he can develop high school kids, especially on the defensive side. Now that we know they have to get better on the offensive side, that's why you bring in 4 receivers. You have to pay for offensive linemen. I think they've learned that lesson. They might have learned the lesson that they have to pay a little bit more for receivers. I mean, obviously Davian Groce stayed with Florida today, so there wasn't, I would assume there was not a sizable offer made. Josh, maybe you've heard more on that to try and win him back, but or win the flip, if you will. So,
but it's also not to say that they won't do that on the offensive line, because I think you look back to 2025 and they did just that, getting Ryan Foje and Michael Fasusi.
No, but I that's what I'm saying. They have to pay for offensive linemen. I mean, you just have to, you have to, or you're going to end up, up shit creek, basically, which they were a year. And you can't build it all through the portal. You've got to build it through the high school. I mean, to me, if you're you're wasting money if you're spending a lot of it in the portal on an offensive line. Your best investment is to buy those kids when they're young so they have 4 or 5 years to develop and be together.
Absolutely. Because, I mean, you look at it, guys. Look at the portal. How many, like, legitimate NFL-type prospects are in the portal on the offensive line each year? There's not many. Like, everybody kind of looks at those first few years where there were a couple and you could find guys. But everybody got smart and realized it was much better to pay their own guys than to worry about going and shopping off other rosters.
Derek Simmons is one of the best successes they've had in the portal at offensive line. And they've brought in a bunch of guys from the portal.
I think their starting center in the LSU game might be
Walter Rouse was a great.
He's the number one.
Yeah.
Fabechi number 2?
Fabechi's number 2.
I mean, Fabechi's played every snap of every game the last
I just
2
think
years.
Walter Rouse at left tackle
was
a bigger win, just in terms of. But yes, Fabechi's 2.
But you're not going to.
And guys, remember with Walter Rouse, Oklahoma had to be dragged into that. Like they didn't they first were going to let him go to Nebraska, and then I think it was like this could be a really bad situation when Jake Sexton got hurt. I mean, he was hurt before Rouse, but that whole series of events, like they were going to be in a real big, kind of a tough spot if they didn't land Walter Rouse.
You brought up Jacob Sexton. I'm just thinking the Jakes and the offensive line and. We haven't thought about a lot of negative things lately.
Yeah, and I do think, we'll save this for portal talk here in a few weeks, but I think they'll have some departures in the offensive line room into the portal. Nobody to be concerned about. But
not like Michael Fasusi and
Fasusi and Foje and Pierre Louis. I'm not worried about those guys. But everyone else, I think that you could just say there'll be some changes.
And I think in those given circumstances, hey, if you want to go, you've kind of served your time at Oklahoma, might as well go have a career somewhere else where maybe you can get onto the field a little bit more.
And maybe if they're guys that have been hurt throughout their careers, you're just fine if they go into the portal.
Yeah, likewise. It works out for everybody. Both sides.
It's no different than we talk about when there's coaching changes needed. Sometimes you just need a fresh start, man. You just need something different.
Josh, what'd you think of I was talking about this, Eddie and I just did our practice work talking about kind of what Nagy and Brent had to say today. I really like the running backs and tight ends that they got. I feel like and those are 2 spots that you look on this year's team and they need some help. And I think that they got, Jonathan Hatton and Walker, the two running backs. I think both are really good players, and I think it was Nagy that said both are SEC running backs. And you look at their size and stuff, I think so. And then tight end, I think Tyler Ruxer can end up being a steal. And Ryder Mix, I know he's coming off an ACL injury, but obviously being from the program he's from, I don't know. It just feels like both those positions, they got two really good players at tight end and running back.
Nagy's story about how they found Ruxer is great.
That's
too,
fantastic.
Josh.
It fits. I mean, and that is
that's a scouting
I
department.
would say, yeah, that's what those guys are there for. I know, we had some people that thought, oh, this is going to be this whole deal, and Brent Venables and the coaching staff, they're taking stuff off the coach's plate. Hey, coach, you lost this guy. We got this kid. We like him. Take a look at this guy. And nobody's shoving, this guy down the coaching staff's throat. It's just go look at him. See if you like what he's got, because we like the physical stuff. So, yeah, I agree, though, George. I think you could make a very real case, and it kind of is shocking when we know what has happened on the field. But I could make a very real case the offensive group is a better group than the defensive group. I think there is more chance for real star power. You've got a quarterback that, if everything went right, he could really be a guy someday. Jonathan Hatton is one of the more talented running backs to come into Oklahoma in the last 10 years. I always say that, and it feels like a slight at Desefin Walker. I think Desefin Walker's a good player. I think he's really solid. He's kind of got almost like some Chris Brown vibes to him. That's kind of the guy he reminds me of, and Chris Brown was to DeMarco
on the field.
Desefin Walker is to John
Eddie and I
Hatton.
are both here. Both want to make jokes so badly.
On the field, Chris Brown, very good running back.
Yeah.
No,
very good running back.
I know exactly what you mean, though, Josh. Just in terms of it wasn't. Was Chris Brown kind of like a Sambaje, just like the bigger bodied guy? Would that be accurate? Like a thicker, big
Chris
upper
Brown,
body?
I don't know.
He wasn't
Chris
nearly
Brown was
that big.
small, wasn't he?
He wasn't. He was one of those guys that was you would see him on a football field, but when you see him up close, you're like, wow, this guy's got tree trunks for legs, and he's just solidly built. But Chris Brown was great because he just had really good vision, and he was also kind of underrated a little bit because he was playing with DeMarco.
I thought that was a transition into the ad read there. He had really good vision.
It could have been.
It could have been.
That would have been.
That would actually
well
would have been
played.
the best one you ever did.
It can be. With the holiday season upon us, Sooner fans, the savings are at Enjoy Vision. During holidays of LASIK, now through the end of the year, you can save an incredible $600 on LASIK and lens replacement. Whether you are just an Oklahoma fan looking for a little bit of fun here before the playoffs begin and you want to be able to see, or you can't see anything and you just want to be able to have perfect vision like me, go to schedule a LASIK or lens replacement consultation today. Go to enjoyvision.com. That's the letter NJOY vision.com. Happy Merry Savings, and we'll see you in the playoffs. How about that? Enjoy Vision. This is where Sooner Scoop LASIKs.
One thing that can help you get to your own personal playoffs are peptides. I don't know if you know this or not. Peptides are the future of medicine, and Cody Drug compounds them every day in their state-of-the-art sterile lab. They've got peptides for all different things like weight loss, energy, and focus. Popular names like Sermorelin, which triggers natural growth hormone release for anti-aging, fat loss, improved sleep, muscle growth, and recovery. And if you're saying to yourself, Kerry, that sounds interesting to me. Well, go to CodyDrugRx.com. Get with our boy Will. He was just here last weekend. Came in to say hi with the wife and friends, and enjoyed seeing Will. But you can see him on Instagram, on Cody Drug RX Instagram page. He'll help you with all of this stuff. Now, Cody Drug also loves to team up with Oklahoma providers and med spas to get you your high-quality custom peptide therapies safely and fast. So if you are an Oklahoma provider or a med spa, go check out CodyDrugRx.com. Maybe get the number. Go give Will a call. You guys can team up, and everybody wins. So there you go. Cody Drug RX, one of the great friends of the program, great sponsors of the program, and appreciate everything that Will and his boys do for us. So CodyDrugRx.com. Go check them out. All right. Yeah, we're sitting here kind of going down like the big wins. Josh, you were saying like, I was when you were talking about it, I was thinking like, you know who like has kind of mastered certain things, and when you talk about scouting departments, they all do things a certain way, just like going and look at the guy's, 100-yard dash times and see that he's a tight end and say, well, we should probably try and recruit that kid or go take a closer look. Like, Iowa has it like down pat. Like, how do you find a tight end? Like, they know everything to look for, and they're doing things that probably other people aren't looking for. And it's just like the other day, it was so funny while I was in there producing the recruiting report. You guys were watching all the tape on I can't even remember all the players now. Basically, the white defensive edge rushers.
Dane Bathurst.
Bathurst was one of them. I think maybe it was his highlights that were playing, and George was just like, I feel like we're just watching Taylor Wine for like 5 minutes straight. Because
it was him and Crew Jones.
Yeah, that's what it was. But it just shows you, like, when you see that stuff back to back to back, you're like, okay, these guys, it's not just that they have a type, but they know what to look for, and they know what they're looking for. And it screams, Taylor Wine. It screams, and maybe these guys will be even better, more. Some of those guys, to me, look like they could even have a little bit more quick twitch than a Taylor Wine does. But because I think he's a lot about effort, too, and just, going, his motor is just unbelievable. But man, it does get you kind of excited when you see these guys lined up one after another and what they're looking for and how different that looks compared to what we've seen in the past.
Oh, and again, some of this, like when I talk about, this defensive group could be a lot better in a couple years, some of that's because I know they're going to get developed. Like, I know these guys will be better over time because of the way this staff works. I mean, they defensively, there's no question. They can evaluate and they can develop players, and they know what they're looking for. But, guys, you talk about a guy, just kind of to step away from what you're talking about there, Kerry. Matthew Nelson, very similar situation to Tyler Ruxer. They saw his track times, they saw his numbers, and then we're like, wait, this kid's 6'5", 220. And they're like, well, okay, we're gonna get involved here. We're gonna have a look at this kid. And people were like, why are they offering this guy? Alabama ends up offering this kid, guys. It wasn't like Oklahoma was, and that's what this scouting department is for, to be ahead of the game, to get you in there early on these guys, develop relationships, let Matthew Nelson really connect with Miguel Chavis. And then when Alabama comes in, it doesn't really matter. It's too late. Like, they've missed their window. So I think that is what you're looking at. And I think there's no question. I mean, used to be, you're like, well, this guy is so extremely talented, maybe he'll turn out to be a player. I look at this group of 3 defensive ends, I'm like, I bet 2 of those guys end up drafted. Like, I just that's where I'm at with both my ability to trust their evaluations and, like I said, their ability to develop talent.
How much did Oklahoma have to fend off Arkansas over the last week or so since they hired Ryan Silverfield for Matthew Nelson, Josh?
They definitely made a run at him. They definitely tried. I mean, because again, and you talk about a little bit of a perfect storm. Obviously, Oklahoma, I think we can say pretty much backed away from Ja'Cory Smith, his teammate there at Bryant. And he signed with Arkansas today. So, you have that guy there that's hey, man, Arkansas, maybe can take a look. And everything I heard was Matthew was pretty solid. Like, and he was talking to me. He was receptive. He was saying the right things. You just never got the vibe like, this seems like it's slipping away. That's one of the things I find pretty remarkable that, we can talk about, OU didn't have any big fireworks today. They also didn't have anybody that made them sweat. There was no big moment today where you're like, oh, this might get bad. Guys, it's unrelated, but I just want to say, to kind of put it in perspective, Notre Dame didn't have a single decommitment this year. They have 27 signees and not one decommit. That like, it's got nothing to do with OU, but that's just unbelievable in this era to kind of live that, in that situation.
I think it also is, and Brent talked about this maybe a little bit more than I thought he was going to, just in terms of relational as opposed to the transactional, commitments or whatever you want to call it nowadays in the NIL world. I think at some point, some of those relationships do matter. And Jake Krull's a good example of that with him and Miguel Chavis. Obviously, Ben Arbuckle and what he was able to develop with Bo Bentley, who, as you see at the quarterback position, obviously Jared Curtis being used as an example, things can go sideways at the end, and obviously talking about how important a quarterback it is, you need to have a good relationship with that guy.
Absolutely. And, Eddie, it's not exactly the point you're making, but I did want to put it out there. I can tell you that Georgia reached out to Bo Bentley after the whole Jared Curtis thing happened. So that did happen. Again, I think that, with his brother going to go, pitch at Oklahoma, the relationship he has, everybody's seen, like Jim Nagy talked about it, the, Bo in his Tommy Harris jersey when he's probably 3 or 4 years old. There's no question that Oklahoma was going to be tough to beat there, but that is like, and I talk about this on the board all the time. And, when people get frustrated, they don't want to hear it. They want to just think that, oh, it's all NIL and these kids are bad kids. No, relationships matter. They just do. And the longer you can build, the longer you can connect with these guys, the more they might be willing to overlook, oh, hey, you're not the highest NIL mark for me, but I really like what you're doing. Obviously you went 10-2. I want to go to the NFL, and you're starting to do that with your defensive players. Like there's stuff you're giving them reason to believe that, hey, I don't have to take the top dollar for this to be worthwhile.
Josh, what did OU do to get Jonathan Hatton back?
Well, from everything I have gathered, and again, I've talked to Jonathan, kind of hit and miss. Like he's, he had his playoff game and then he took an official. It's kind of been a chaotic week for him. I really think they kind of just like they never closed the door, and that's something that we've talked about OU really predating Venables. It has been kind of a theme for the staff, which is, I don't know if you can connect it because obviously there were a lot of different people involved. But I think Oklahoma through the years has done a good job of not getting pissed off when you lose a guy and you lose him in a tough situation. Kind of you never know when that door might reopen. And I've said it before, I guess I can say this now. Steve Wiltfong talked about it on the Rivals channel. Messiah Mickens had committed to Oklahoma. Like that had happened. That was a quiet thing that not everybody knew, but he had told Oklahoma he was coming. And then I think, like I said, I talked about this a couple days ago, and I think even yesterday on the recruiting report, that as time got close and they started really kind of working out the details of what the contract was going to look like, how all that was going to work, I think that got to a point where, okay, you could still beat Virginia Tech, but you're going to have to throw a pretty serious number out there. And if you're going to do that, I think some people had the conversation of, well, if we're going to do that, would we not just call up Jonathan Hatton and see if maybe that door can really be opened again? And I think once Oklahoma got to a number he was good with, I don't think he had a lot of doubt. I think that's where he always wanted to go. I think that's what I think he loves DeMarco Murray. There's a great relationship there. And I think Oklahoma just they did what they needed to do with the NIL stuff, and they had a season to sell. Because when Jim Nagy talked about negative recruiting and he talked about, we had some guys come back to us, I don't think there's any question who one of the schools that was hitting OU over the head was Texas A&M. I think there was absolutely those guys are about to get fired.
Is that simply out? And I think you probably just answered it, but maybe one of the best examples of Oklahoma needing to go out, find success on the field, and how that would bleed over from a momentum perspective on the recruiting trail, Josh?
Here's my 30-second story with Guinness. As soon as my sister and I get home for the holidays, we don't even unpack. We head straight to our pub. The bartender already knows our order, Guinness and fries. We laugh all night, catch up with old friends, and walk home with faces sore from smiling. It's one of my favorite nights of the year. That was my 30-second story with Guinness.
Guinness Draft Stout. Please enjoy responsibly. Imported by Diageo Beer Company, USA, New York, New York.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. You're ready to move your business forward, but first, you need to find the right team. Start your search with Indeed-sponsored jobs. It can help you reach qualified candidates fast, ensuring your listing is the first one they see. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs are 90% more likely to report a hire than non-sponsored jobs. See the results for yourself. Get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's not Eddie. Obviously, like a Jonathan Hatton's a really easy one to point to because we saw the before and the after.
Sure,
but even with some of these guys, they get in on late. Like, oh yeah, you want to take a look at me? Sure thing. I mean, guys, Dane Bathurst, we can you can say, oh, he's from Indiana and he was committed to Duke when OU got involved. Guys, Vandy got involved. Like there look at the year Vandy's happened. Like, I mean, there was plenty of reason. Vandy stole a couple of guys. They took a commitment away from Alabama today on signing day. So they were, shout out to Barton Simmons. Those guys are doing good work. But for Oklahoma to close on Dane when, like I said, Vandy really made a run at him at the end, I think it's an indication of, okay, like we believe in this. We know what you're doing. And then on top of all of it, we can talk about Jim Nagy being able to sell what's on the field. Jim Nagy also gets to sell, hey, I was in the NFL for 20 years. Like, yeah. I know everybody you want to know. And that's a trump card. Like, people can talk about, oh, he hasn't been around high school guys. And sure, he admitted it. It was a learning process. Like, there was things he didn't know to expect, and that's just going to come with the turf. But he's got, he has, I guess, trophies on the mantle that nobody else can compare to. Like, nobody else in the college scene can say, yes, I ran, I know what the Senior Bowl is looking for. I know how you get into those places. I can open all these doors for you if you're here and I see you, and if I vouch for you to XYZ NFL scout, they're going to believe me.
Probably don't sign Jasir Rogers either without a little bit of success on the field. Kid's not going to leave Delaware just to come down to Oklahoma, sight unseen.
I mean, to me, if I'm Oklahoma and he has any doubts, it's just like, we're going to run the Isaiah Satania plays for you. We want you to do what Isaiah Satania does because he's light framed, he's incredibly fast, and he's dangerous in open field. Like, he is, I would have to think it's just like, we want you to be 5. That's who we want you to be.
It definitely seemed like, too, on Tuesday or Wednesday at the press conference that Jim Nagy, like 2 guys from each side of the ball that he identified from day one. Jaden Pettit, certainly on the offensive side. Markel Ford on the defensive side. Those were 2 guys that he basically said, George, didn't he, that they kind of, from day one, wanted in this class.
Yeah, I mean, he raved about, is it Pettit or Petit?
Petit is what they kept calling.
Oh, is it Petit?
Mm-hmm.
What's the pronunciation thing there?
I think it is Petit. But they raved about him, Josh. They believe he's somebody that's going to be a star for them, I think.
P-U-H little T-E-E-T capitalized.
Okay, so petite.
Petite.
Okay.
He's a petite guy.
Okafolese.
He's not
a petite guy.
Yeah, he's very big.
And I was surprised that Kristen Morris, Christian
Pornhub, right? Petite.
What I liked about what he had to say, and he commented to a question that actually wasn't half bad about, like, when you're an NFL guy and you love the height, weight, speed, and all that stuff, how do you focus, guys? Because a Markel Ford, he's not a freaky-looking athlete. He doesn't run 4.3. He's not gigantic. Like, he's a really good football player. And I liked him talking about, you've got to be flexible. It can't just be, oh, every guy's a track star, every guy's Tarzan. Sometimes, like, this guy's just a damn good football player. Because, again, like, we talk about it, if you looked at the top 3, the 3 defensive ends in Oklahoma's class, if you were going height, weight, speed, Daniel Norman and Matthew Nelson would be your choices. Jake Krull's like 6'2", 220, 230. I mean, he's bigger than that. He's probably 235, 240, something like that. But he's not like he just all off the bus team. But then you watch the tape and he's just murdering people, and you're like, I don't really care. Like, I don't care that he's not the perfect prototype. But with Jaden, you guys know, like, I'm excited about that guy. Like, I think that was a huge win for Oklahoma. I think he is a problem because he is so big. And while he's not 4'4", when you're that damn big, you don't have to be. Like people, you can use your body to shield the ball. Bo Bentley's going to have easier throws because Jaden Petit is, I'm going to have to practice on that a little bit. Because he's out there. He can create space for you. And then once he's loose, he may not be able to shake you, but good luck tackling him. He's huge.
Basically, OU signed the #1 class in the country today. But the recruiting rankings won't tell you that.
4 consecutive Biletnikoffs for Jaden Petit.
No, it is. Signing day is always we met our needs. That's
But don't you feel, Josh, we were just talking about this on the, and I guess we've talked about it a little bit here today, but it just feels like the overall organization of everything they're doing, top to bottom, just feels in a much better place in terms of, and I'm excited to cover the transfer portal this year because you love the chaos of the portal. I kind of think it won't be all, I mean, it will be, there'll be some chaos, but I think
everything's getting more professionalized.
Yes,
basically.
and I think that they'll have a very direct plan of what they want to do, who they want to go after, the positions that they need to fill. And I think it's going to happen relatively quickly. Like I'm sure there'll be some stragglers. They try to add some guys late and all that, but like it just feels to me from the outside looking in and from talking to people inside the program that everything seems to be in a good spot in terms of what the plan is. And I don't think you could say that a year ago.
Well, but here's the other thing, George. You're going to go into the portal this year, and in years past you've been like, I think it's almost been not defeatist, but it's been kind of well, we just can't raise that kind of money for that guy. I think now that they've had the success, and we know some of the money men out there, we've built relationships with some of them, but I think there's going to be more people that are like, okay, we need an extra $250 to get this guy. I think they're going to be able to raise that.
I think not only that, Kerry, I think that is certainly the case. It seems like more people are willing, especially now when they're winning. I think on the flip side, when it comes down to it, if the money's close enough, I think with the success that Oklahoma's having, the guys that are coming back, the chance to compete, in a playoff,
and win.
Yeah, because like I think that there were some guys that they were in on a year ago that maybe they were less money and they couldn't convince them to come because it's like, hey, we're coming off a 6-7 season. Like, yeah, we brought in a new quarterback, but you don't know it. Like, I think that the pitch is also a lot easier to some of these guys. That's like, hey, we just made the playoff. I don't know. We'll see how far they can make it in the playoff, but we just made the playoff. Like, we're bringing back a big chunk of our roster. Like, you could be a big part of that. Like, and plus we have the money to pay you, competitively compared to everybody else.
I just think too that it's simply when you win, everybody wants to listen a little bit more. You have everybody's attention a little bit more than you did a year ago. And even I think in the program, just from like Brent, from top down, it's easier to see the vision. It's easier to believe in it when you see some results that you're getting on the field.
Like, I find it hard to believe that Oklahoma's not going to be able to go out. And let's say Kip Lewis, Kobe McKenzie, and Owen Heineke are all gone after this year, which we can get into that in a little bit, what's going to happen there. But let's say all three were to leave after this season. I find it hard to believe that Oklahoma's not going to be able to go out and get, or at least compete for the best linebacker in the portal this winter because of what they've been able to do on the field defensively. And also
playing for
those positions, like those guys are probably going to get drafted.
Position, yeah.
Like, those are the things that, like, I don't think you could have said that maybe a year ago with several positions.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really interesting because they're playing, with a loaded deck right now, and they haven't had that any time that Brent's been here.
And that's the thing, George. I know that's kind of what you were getting at, but when you do have this success, like, sure, OU could have gone out and gotten the Singleton kid that went to Auburn from Georgia Tech last year. But you're going to have to money whip that guy because you're 6-7. You don't know what your quarterback situation is, and you've got a new offensive coordinator. You don't have a lot to sell, so what you're going to have to sell is green. Like that's the only way that's going to work. So now that you can say, hey, look, we went to the playoff. We were, if we can figure out some things on offense, we could be even more in 2026 than we were in 2025. Come be part of this, and we'll pay you within reason. We'll pay you a good number, but we're not gonna double the market just so we can have you, which I can almost guarantee you is exactly what Auburn had to do because they were in a very similar situation with all the same questions. And look what happened. They overpaid, and their head coach is no longer with them.
Well, and think about that too. I mean, a lot of schools are a lot of these schools are going to be at a disadvantage with these buyouts. I mean, I know LSU saying, we're going to go out, and Lane Kiffin saying they're committed to NIL. They're still, Brian Kelly just got the letter from them saying, yes, we did fire you without cause, So yeah, we're going to have to pay the $54 million.
And I think,
and you got Auburn. I mean, you've got Arkansas.
Yeah.
You've got.
And I don't know about money as much,
Penn
Terry,
State.
as it is. You like the stability that you can pitch at Oklahoma. Like now, you're the program that's saying, like, I'm not saying Oklahoma's going to negative recruit, but like that's no longer the knock on. Like Oklahoma can say that to other guys now. It's like, well, you want to go somewhere that you might have another head coach in a few years. Like I don't know. It just feels like stability is king right now in this era of college football. And I'm not saying Oklahoma's the most stable program in the country. That's not true. But it's certainly a hell of a lot more stable than it was a year ago.
There's a lot of more programs than not would prefer to be in Oklahoma.
I mean, think about Penn State.
I was just getting ready to say, can you imagine just the 180 that both of those programs have done with Penn State? Basically, they were going to a semifinal a year ago, having won 10 games
Jim
again.
Knowles
it seemed like
them over OU.
Jim Knowles had picked Penn State. They were better positioned. 365 days later, you could say that, I don't know if Oklahoma's going to make a run to the semifinals of the college football playoff by any means, but they are so far away from each other.
Thursday Night Football is on, and it's only on Prime Video.
Wide open, touchdown.
This week, the Dallas Cowboys and Detroit Lions face off in a high-octane clash.
Look at this. It's on the money.
Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern with football's best party. TNF Tonight, presented by Verizon. Not a Prime member? Not a problem. Simply sign up for a 30-day free trial. It's the Cowboys and Lions, Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, only on Prime Video. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
And that even leads into the conversation just with Penn State that what the hell are they doing right now? Like to sign that few guys on signing day, did they not think about all of this when they made the move with James Franklin that not only do you not have a coach in place by December 3rd, but you have no players that you're going to sign, so you're going to have to go to the portal. You're going to have to spend probably millions and millions of dollars more than you previously planned for. It's crazy to me.
And it makes me think like, in an alternate universe, if Oklahoma had to make a coaching change after this year, it's like, who would they have, like, could they have been in the same position where they lucked out? Like, I don't think they would have been, but you look around, like, you can't tell me Auburn was like, oh, we can't wait to get Alex Golish. And Florida, they wanted Lane Kiffin. It seems like they screwed that up. Like, the only team right now that had fired their coach and got the coach they wanted is LSU.
Maybe it's super homer. I just don't know, like, is there something wrong
Maybe
with
Kentucky,
the Penn State job?
Will Stein. I will say that
you don't. Yeah, it was a really good hire, but it seemed like they had a plan. They hired Will Stein 24 hours after they fired Mark Stoops, and maybe that's a little bit different. He's a Kentucky native, obviously went to Louisville, yada yada yada. I think Oklahoma would be in a better position than some of these schools, like an Auburn or maybe even a Penn State. Maybe it's a more wanted job, but it's just shocking to me that they were so unprepared going into this signing day.
Well, and guys, just for those not following along at home, Penn State is currently the number 150 class in the country with 2 signees. They are behind North Dakota State.
Damn.
Do you want to? Can anybody tell? You want to wager a guess where Virginia Tech is right now?
39th?
They break top 50.
25th.
Damn.
They are 25th in the country.
James Franklin's
right
a dog.
He's flipping dudes left and right. So
and he did. He's taken a bunch of guys from Penn State. One of the crazy ones, though, and I know we want to talk a little more OU. I just kind of West Virginia's 24th, guys. West Virginia has 43 signees.
Damn.
Like they are
Shout out.
Overhauling.
Shout
that
out
roster.
Chuck Lilly.
That's incredible. 43.
That's wild.
I knew
I
that
don't
they
know
had
if
a
that's
turnover,
a good
but
thing, though. I mean, I don't,
Well, I think that they're having to totally rebuild an entire, program.
If you have 43 recruits, that's an advantage that should have you like number 1 in the country. I'm sorry, I'm not feeling like it's a really positive thing.
Yeah.
3 4-stars out of all that 43. That
3
tells you
4-stars.
boy.
Yeah. Wow.
So they're just signing
getting
anybody.
bodies.
They're
Yeah.
just
They're stacking bodies.
it's a big walk-on class.
North Carolina has 40 signees. So I mean, like there are people that think this is a model.
It's interesting.
We'll see, but if I went to Vegas, I would bet against those teams in their win
But
totals
those are teams.
coming up soon.
Those are teams
Next year for sure.
We talk about Oklahoma and retaining players. Those teams don't want to retain any of their players. They're trying to move on from everybody. So
well, it's like Oklahoma State. It's like how many? asked T-Bag the other day, like, how many of those guys do you really want to keep? And he's like, well, I have a list of guys that I really like that I want to stay.
Yeah, like 5 guys.
Yeah.
I mean, Oklahoma has like a list
they
of...
won 1 game.
Like
I mean, how
40.
how good are those players?
Yeah, so like that's where Oklahoma's in kind of that sweet spot. And you heard Brent talk about that today of like, you want to retain a good chunk, you want to bring in high school be the lifeblood, and then you want to fill the gaps in the portal.
Which I think is what Oklahoma is now doing, what Ohio State is doing.
Notre Dame
is doing it. USC is not. I mean, they're still relying a lot on portal, but they've got a good high school class. I don't know if Lincoln Riley will be there to welcome them since he's not doing press conferences.
I am still of, and I had no info on this, I am still of the opinion that Lincoln is looking around.
You know how many commits USC had?
20.
Josh?
Were they over 30?
It was over 30.
Yeah, it's 35. Like that, it was a bunch.
Nailed it. 35.
Wow.
It's just so bizarre that he put out that statement, like, I'll see you in January or whatever. It's
what does that mean?
What the hell was that?
What kind of self-respecting coach? And I was going to comment on this on Twitter, but I knew that it just kind of opens the door because it's an easy target with Oklahoma guy commenting on something Lincoln Riley's doing. He could have been the coach at wherever. Not having a press conference on the day that you signed the nation's #1 class is just flat out weird to me. That's like turning down
and
publicity that you could.
Yes.
It's almost too easy, but it also is so Lincoln Riley not to want to put up with it or spend the time, the 20 minutes that it would have taken
He's in
to
Happy
basically
Valley.
glaze yourself.
He's in Happy Valley right now.
Well, I mean, guys, we just talked about it. We were just joking about signing day for every school. Doesn't matter if you sign the 90th class in the country. Oh, man, we hit our needs, and we feel great about it. It's a rah-rah day for your program.
Yeah.
But when you get to say I had the #1 class in the country and you don't shout it from the rooftops, what the hell are you doing?
Can we like break into the MLS in LA and find out if his house is like secretly up for sale?
We could make some phone calls out to the Palisades.
It'd be the
SUV.
second time that we've broken into his house.
That's true. We're taking hostages this time, though. Like I wanted to the first time.
We wouldn't let you. No, but
we're armed, Eddie. It takes it to a serious level.
It's amazing what can happen when you put a knife
to
somebody's throat.
I need to go and go back and re-listen to the podcast this time a year ago, the Unofficial 40. I bet the vibes were so bad.
Probably not high.
I don't recommend searching that out.
They probably weren't very high, I can tell you that.
What was the big story on signing day?
Fasusi and
Fasusi,
the
yeah.
offensive line class building around that.
Yeah.
But there was no Jim Nagy at that point.
No, it's crazy.
I mean, guys, remember a year ago, it was, hey, they signed Jet New. And this little quarterback that they stole from Oklahoma State that nobody knew a damn thing about. And again, that's not a knock on Jet. It's just like that tells you where the vibes were. It just was in a very different location.
They were getting ready to play Navy, the Armed Forces Bowl.
By the way, speaking of people that were highly talked about, I was really impressed with the things that were said. And Josh and I have been out there. I think Eddie, have you been to one of his games?
I have not.
We spent some time with him after practice and stuff, but it was I thought really cool the way that Jim Nagy talked about Bo Bentley, and Brent did too. But for Brent to compare his mental makeup to Sam Bradford was like an eye raiser for me.
I hadn't thought of it, Kerry, but when he said it, I was like, kind of like obviously I'd love to have Eddie to really someone who really knew Sam better than either one of us, obviously. But like what I knew of Sam and remember of him from that point in time, that there was, very similar, like easy confidence, very easy to talk to, real low key guy. Never, I don't remember ever seeing Sam you're like, oh man, he's pissed. And Bo kind of has that same, everything looks like, yeah, I planned for that. I knew that was going to happen. He just looks under control at all times.
It makes a lot of sense why when Bo Bentley came up for that first, I think it was his official visit weekend, that they had Sam kind of take him around town, and he spent some time with him as well as John Mateer, and those three kind of were able to develop a relationship, I guess, if you will, just over the course of that weekend. It makes a lot more sense now when you hear Brent say today and talking about his mental makeup. That was the first thing that kind of popped into my brain.
Yeah,
but let me tell you,
about that a little bit.
I don't know if he's Sam Bradford. There's not very many people that are. He certainly didn't go to higher education like Putnam City North High School.
Salina High School is
I
pretty
would
baller.
imagine that Salina is probably ranked higher than
And
Putnam City North.
it was only they were like adding on wings to it when we were out there at practice. Like it's insane.
It's gonna fly.
They're in the
and I did want to say
quarterfinals coming up this week.
Yeah, for anybody out there, Bo got hurt in the second quarter last week, came out, missed the last 2.5 quarters. That I've talked to him. I've talked to some people at Salina. They seem hopeful. I don't more than anything. I just want to tell OU fans, if you hear about it, it's not serious. Whatever the exact thing was, it was kind of a fluky deal. He got hit. Just I've seen the play. If I remember right, he was running off right tackle. And just kind of takes it's not like an ugly hit or anything. That's just football. But like I said, I think worst case, if he's not back this week and they can find a way to get through, he would be back for the semifinals. I think that would be. Again, I don't want anybody to think oh, no, is he going to be ready for spring or whatever? He'll be fine.
I thought about that when Nagy mentioned today that he was at the LSU game with a sling on his arm. I was like, oh, man, I wonder if people in Salina are going to be mad that maybe someone from Alvarado's watching and he just let it slip that Bo's been walking around with a sling on his arm.
People in Salina do take their high school football fairly seriously, as I understand it.
I'm going to be really interested to see what he looks like physically when fall camp starts. Or will he be here for spring?
He should be, yeah.
What is the number of
signees,
camp, Josh? Do you know off the top
early
of your head?
enrollees
that will be there. I have not
enrollees?
tallied it, but I know Hatton will be. I'm almost certain on Petit and Rogers. I know Ryder mix. I don't know if Ryder's going to enroll early because he can't take part. I don't know what that's going to look like. Honestly, if they get in a numbers crunch, they may say, hey, just hold back because, you can't go through anything anyway.
Sure.
Ruxer will be, I'm almost 100% on Schmidt. Jake Krull definitely will be. Matthew Nelson will be. I would guess of the 24, 18, 19. I would guess the overwhelming majority will be in Norman in January.
Janro brothers?
The Who's Down in Who Newville were making their list, but some didn't know Walmart has the best brands for their gifts.
What about toys? Do they have brands kids have been wanting all year?
Yep, Barbie, Tony's, and Lego. Gifts that will make them all cheer.
Do you mean they have all the brands I adore?
They have Nintendo, Nespresso, Apple, and more.
What about...
So the Who answered questions from friends till they were blue. Each one listened and shouted, from Walmart? Who knew? Shop gifts from top brands for everyone on your list in the Walmart app.
Yes, they will definitely both be. I have talked to Bo about that.
Their interview on the OU production today was fantastic. I don't know how anybody ever is able to tell each of them apart. They look exactly the same.
One's a little bit bigger.
Yeah, Bo's 6'1", Nico's listed at 5'11".
Yep. It's funny too because when I see them, it's such a football thing to say. When they have their uniforms on and I'm watching them on tape, even without the numbers, I can tell them apart. When I see their faces, I'm like, ooh, it's tougher for me. I don't distinguish it as well.
By the way, I know we've been calling them Krull the entire time, but the pronunciation guide has Crail.
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 Jake has never corrected me on that, so credit to him. That has never come up.
That's a sign of a good kid.
He's made a middle note.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He's made a middle note. Yeah. He's like, this scumbag from Oklahoma.
You've accounted for so many sacks this year, Josh. He's kind of been like the water boy. He's just been thinking of your giant head.
He just thinks of being cruel every time he hits somebody.
By the way, I do like, and this is not a shot at you, Houck, so don't take it like that, but I like how they phonetically spelled Dzephin. It's just like, are there people out there that are pronouncing it D's Fin?
That'd be kind of awesome.
Somebody's going to name their kid D something sometime.
D's nuts.
But that was
or
coming.
6'7".
After that Key and Peele skit, though, you just have to. You have to be very careful in what you phonetically pronounce.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
There were some tremendous names. That's one of my favorite things. Post-National Signing Day usually is Bleacher Report or somebody will put together a...
Does Bleacher Report still exist?
I have no idea.
I feel like I haven't seen Bleacher Report in years.
I think they do, but Vox Media owns them, I think.
Somebody will put together a list, though, of the best names of the signing class. And I always enjoy reading through that.
DeBrickashaw Ferguson is the one I always remember from Key and Peele.
Well, DeBrickashaw Ferguson
that's a real person. That's a real person.
Ferguson's a real guy.
Yeah, DeBrickashaw Ferguson. Okay, now
play for the Jets, right?
Yes.
Or at least the last team last team was with.
He was like a top 5 pick from Virginia forever ago. I always think of Le Carpatron Duke Marriott. That's one of my favorites.
That's a great one.
I don't know. Still one of my 2 favorite Key and Peele skits are the substitute teacher, Aaron, and they did one on black ice, and the black weathermen were getting really pissed off. It was that's go watch that on YouTube. That's one of the best. Anyway, okay. So outside of that, Josh, I know we're running short on time here. Anything that just really stands out to you today about the signings? I guess we could talk about Davian Groce as well, sticking with Florida. And I know you've done it on the recruiting report, but everybody else that either decommitted, did they end up signing where they were supposed to?
Yeah, Teron Richardson at West Virginia. You go down the list. Malik Franklin at Alabama. Like there was no big surprises. Now, what I will say is our guys at On3 have actually put together a list of some of the guys who didn't sign. I'm interested to see if Oklahoma takes a look, because there's a couple of guys out there that like Oklahoma was following through the day. You kind of saw them paying some new names attention, and you get the feeling like if a couple guys don't sign by Friday, maybe we see Oklahoma re-enter the race with a couple of guys. Because, guys, I don't know about you, but one of my favorite things about Jim Nagy was I felt like he was very sincere in the stuff he said, like where he was like, we would have liked to have had another corner. Like, you don't usually hear coaches acknowledge that kind of stuff. I was like, oh, it's great. It doesn't mean that the class was bad or anything like that. It just means, hey, perfect world, we'd have had 2 in this class. And so, you wonder, like, okay, would they look and see if maybe they find a guy that doesn't sign with, XYZ SEC schools with all these coaching changes? Maybe something opens up there that could leave something open. So I would watch that. Obviously, the offensive line. I guess we should talk about that. To me, that's the real kind of eyesore in this class. And it's not, again, I like Deacon Schmidt. I've said Noah Best is like a Ben Powers starter set. Like, I think the 2 they got, I really like. They just need more. 2 is not enough. 2 is how you got into the problems that existed in 2024 and really even to some degree in 2023, because it's just hard to make up those numbers in recruiting without going to the portal. And we know, like we've already talked about on this show itself, there's just not enough good quality bodies in the portal that unless you just spend an unbelievable amount of money, which we know OU doesn't want to do, that you're going to be able to fix your problem like that. So you've got to recruit. They've got to have more numbers. I think losing Noah Beebe late to Houston, that was a tough break for him. Jonas Muya, same deal. I think West Virginia, to their credit, found some money here late, and they stole a kid. It was going to be Wisconsin's highest rated commitment, a kid named Amari Latimer. So there is some of that just going around and kind of happening. But I think it's a really solid class. I don't think it's super flashy. It's not going to wow everybody. But I think you are going to look back and say that class is better than we think, because I think Oklahoma made some really good evaluations. And a guy I want to mention him because I love him is Jacob Curry. I'm doing my re-rankings right now. The article should be up tomorrow morning where I just kind of go through and this is where I would have this player ranked. I don't think there's a bigger gap between where the industry has him and where I see a player than Jacob Curry. I'm very high on what OU got there.
All right. Josh, appreciate all the coverage this week. More to come on the website.
Absolutely.
You sign up for $1. So if you've never been a member, you want to check it out, just $1 for 7 days to see what we're all about. And, of course, basketball is getting ready, getting started. You guys have women's game to go to tonight.
A hell of a win on Tuesday night.
Yeah,
out
really
in Wake
good.
Forest, 6 in double figures. Mo McGee with 14 rebounds, career high 14 rebounds. OU out-rebounded Wake Forest 42-24. There were moments last year, somebody said it on the board on Tuesday night, I don't know if they got 42 rebounds in a week. Like, that was very, very impressive. Darion Reed, Tay Davis both had 18 to lead Oklahoma. Nigel Pack got into a little bit of foul trouble early, but I don't know. If the goal was to go to Wake Forest and build off of the win on Friday against Marquette, they did that and then some. That's a good program in Wake Forest. Steve Forbes usually has a pretty good club, and we'll see. Now the next kind of the next checkbox for the men's team, at least, is Saturday night at 9:00 out in Phoenix against Arizona State and Mo Odom, who is a lot of fun to watch. He'll put up 40 on their ass if they're not careful. He was awesome in Maui and awesome in the West Coast Conference tournament a year ago.
And Georgia, no women playing tonight, but they're coming off of, what was it, a classic? What would they call that?
Coconut Hoops Challenge, or Coconut Hoops
Classic. They beat Florida State. So Aaliyah Chavez is starting to kind of light it up. Eddie and I are about to go over and watch them play NC State, who is not having the year that I think a lot of people thought they would, but still a pretty good test here in the non-con.
NC State, they had like a legendary coach that just retired last year or something, or
maybe I
can't
say I've kept up with
Kay Yao, but I almost say it was a couple years ago.
Yeah, she's been.
They were really good last year, NC State. So
yeah, they did they not push Texas? We watched that game in the Sweet 16.
I want to say they made the Elite 8 or Sweet 16 last year.
Yeah.
So. I know Josh has to go, but we've got to talk about how stupid the College Football Playoff Committee is, right?
Yeah, and OU's in a good spot. They're going to the playoffs. I think we can officially say, OU, you're in the playoffs.
I think we've all Thanks, Josh. I think we've all run through enough scenarios to realize collectively, like, yeah, they're in. I mean, the worst of the worst is probably, even if Duke wins the ACC championship, that's not going to affect Oklahoma. I mean, they'll just put another group of five in.
The thing now is, it's not about Oklahoma getting in. It's who's Oklahoma going to face.
Right.
And it gets
is it BYU? Is it Tech?
Alabama?
Is it Alabama? Is it Notre Dame? I mean, I think those are the four possibilities. A&M, 5 possibilities.
They could go on the road to College Station. And that's what we were talking about this before the press conference with some of the guys over there, and I was trying to lay it out and be like, well, let's say everything's chalk this weekend. Georgia wins. Texas Tech wins. Who cares what happens in the ACC? It doesn't matter.
Well, it kind of does, though, doesn't it?
Not for Oklahoma.
Not for them getting into the playoffs.
No, even for who they play, it doesn't matter. Because whoever's the ACC champion and whoever is the G5 team, they'll be 11-12.
What if there's two G5s?
They'll be 11-12.
Yeah,
it doesn't push anybody up into OU's territory. The thing that
listen,
you can't predict is like.
Let me finish.
Okay,
you cut me off.
George loves talking about this.
I do.
He almost stabbed a student reporter this afternoon because he wouldn't shut up.
Yes, listen. So if it's chalk this weekend, Georgia beats Alabama, and Texas Tech beats BYU. Would Alabama fall? And I think the committee is setting that up to where they'll flip-flop it back. Notre Dame will jump Alabama, and then they don't have to have the Notre Dame-Miami discussion.
I don't think that there's any way that they don't have that conversation, because I think after last night, I'm of the group that does think that Miami's going to pass Notre Dame.
But did you read the transcript?
No, I didn't read anything that those people say. That's where you got off on the wrong foot.
No, Eddie, they told us what they said. Juracek said last night. He's like, it's hard for us to look at it unless they're back to back in the rankings. And so that's why I think that they moved Notre Dame one spot back, because right now Miami's 12, Notre Dame's 10. They're not back to back in the rankings. If they were to go up to number 11, Miami that is, then they would have to talk about it. But if Alabama loses, this is why they're setting it up this way. This is my theory. Is if Alabama loses, they can just be like, oh, well, they have 3 losses. We're going to put Notre Dame back in front of them now, and now we don't have to have the Notre Dame-Miami discussion at all.
You know who's most at fault for this?
This episode is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing the protection of an offensive guard on the football field, but getting an elementary school crossing guard. Sure, they're both guards, but you can only trust one to keep your quarterback safe when the game is on the line. So don't settle for just any insurance when there's State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
I know all and look, Chris Felica's Miami guy, so that's why.
So is Bruce Feldman apparently.
I did not know that either.
Which I also want to be clear.
USC guy.
I also want to be clear. I kind of side with Miami in the sense that they probably should be in over Notre Dame. They beat them. Like, I don't understand how that's not
a thing.
Can
Can I say what I'm going to say?
Carrie, Never mind.
That's rich.
Yeah.
I know. No, I think the thing about it is what worries me is the committee drops Notre Dame. Like, what are they setting us up for? Because they don't do that if they're not setting it up to be able to make excuses for something.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Getting themselves ready to make an excuse for something.
I think they're setting it up to move Notre Dame back to number 9, so then they never have to have the Miami discussion. That's what I think they're doing.
I don't know if they're going to – would it be fair to say, though, and I kind of agree with Josh Callaway in that I don't know if they're going to move anybody up that's not playing this weekend. I don't know if you can move up.
So you think OU will play Alabama then?
See, that's the question, and I don't know.
I will say the smartest thing anybody has done in the last week is Ole Miss being like, okay, we need to do something that's good, and we need to get Charlie Weiss back here as offensive coordinator.
I don't think that's the reason, though, that they didn't do anything.
But it's a perception thing.
But they were already, like the great queen, Heather Dinich, said yesterday, they'd already adjourned or whatever by the time any of that Mississippi news came out.
No, but what I'm saying is they have another poll that's coming out.
Sure.
So they're preparing for this next poll so that the momentum doesn't continue saying, Ole Miss doesn't have an offensive coordinator, they need to drop. Because like I said, I don't know if I said this on this show or to you guys or on the radio, but the thinking that I had is like with Ole Miss, it's like maybe the committee says, okay, well, they beat Oklahoma with Lane Kiffin and Charlie Weiss. Let's drop them to where they play Oklahoma at home, and then if they win that game, that's a mea culpa and everybody moves on and nobody complains. Like,
so maybe we don't know, but we do think that they would reschedule games or reschedule matchups.
What do you mean?
Like OU Bama or OU Ole Miss?
I don't think. I'm
just saying where they would drop.
Are you talking about the rematch? Like they would have rematches? I think ESPN doesn't want that, but I don't know if that means the committee won't set it up that way. I think that the reason they flipped Notre Dame and Alabama is because they don't want to have the Notre Dame Miami stock, and they want to make sure that Alabama gets in. And by doing this, you can't drop Alabama out of the playoff if they lose.
And I think the committee knows the last thing they want is leaving Alabama out because they lost the championship game, and then Vanderbilt and Texas don't get in because then the SEC just screams bloody murder. Because Vanderbilt's not getting in. Texas is not getting in.
No.
Yeah. And I also think that the Texas A&M Notre Dame thing, it's all going to get worked out because I think that, again, they're setting it up to where the result of the SEC championship game is going to change the rankings. And so that way Texas A&M and Notre Dame, again, they're going to flip them. They're going to flip-flop them, and then Alabama will play A&M, and Notre Dame will play Oklahoma.
Let's say Alabama.
So that'd be 7-10.
Let's say Alabama convincingly beats Georgia, and convincingly maybe by 2 scores.
Mm-hmm. They'll be top 4.
Does that give the committee enough reason to move them ahead of Ole Miss and drop Ole Miss a little bit?
Yeah, I think whoever wins the SEC championship is going to get a bye. I don't know what number they'll be in the top 4, but I think they're going to get a bye.
And they probably should.
Yeah. And I kind of think Indiana's going to get a bye no matter if they win or lose.
And then, I mean, if you want your head to explode, we can talk about BYU beating Tech, which I don't think there's any chance in hell of happening.
I think there's a chance. I wouldn't pick it.
I think it's going to be a closer game than it was the first time around. But I think
12 and a half right now.
I think Tech's just a better team.
Yeah, and if that that's one thing you don't want to happen if you're Oklahoma. I don't know what the rankings would be, but
it puts a serious kink into things.
For hosting
they are.
For hosting it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying they would get knocked out of the playoff, but for hosting, I think that they would drop. OU would.
If BYU wins,
they would jump ahead of
right
Oklahoma.
Now, I feel pretty confident that OU is going to be the 10 headed to College Station.
Maybe, but A&M could even move back, or it could be, or BYU could jump to 7, or Tech fall to 7,
or they could jump ahead of Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I don't think it would just be. I think if BYU wins, it could be a mess in front of Oklahoma of what happens.
If BYU wins, I would say I've not computed this. I don't have any analytics, but the feel I have is that OU would go on the road if BYU wins.
Yes,
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think that is correct. We just don't know where. It's not clear. Whereas the Alabama Georgia thing, I think it's kind of not clear, but it's way easier to envision what would happen if Alabama won, and also what would happen if
Alabama
Georgia wins,
there's no way
if
OU's
Georgia
playing
wins,
them.
yeah, if Georgia wins, OU's hosting, and they're playing probably Notre Dame or Alabama. Like, that's just bottom line fact. And that's also assuming if Texas Tech wins. But the ACC, none of that matters. The G5 doesn't matter.
What if Indiana
I do not
just
believe
gets,
it'll affect Oklahoma.
What if Indiana just gets smoked by Ohio State? Like by
I think
40?
they'll drop to like 5.
I'd agree with that.
But what will be interesting, would the committee put Oregon ahead of Indiana? The committee loves Oregon, but I don't know if they would put them ahead of Indiana since the head-to-head. The head-to-head thing is that's the effed up part. They respect some of the head-to-head,
but not,
and then they don't respect some of the head-to-head.
But they
don't. I know.
They don't respect the head-to-head when one team doesn't have a great resume.
Yeah,
that makes no sense.
But the problem, like Notre Dame and Miami, both have bad resumes.
Yeah,
that's why I don't understand. Like, they're actually comparable when you look at them resume-wise. Like, I don't understand why Notre Dame would, and it's purely the eye test.
Is Miami's best win is Notre Dame, though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's their next best win?
Not a lot. Florida State, Florida,
gosh. Pitt,
probably Pitt.
Pitt. Oh yeah, Pitt. Yeah, they just beat
probably
Pitt.
And it was a pretty convincing win.
And their losses aren't exactly terrible.
No, they.
But Notre Dame beat Pitt worse than Miami beat Pitt.
Yeah, I just think it's stupid that you're not honoring the game that they won. But
there's a lot of problems with the way that I think one of
this
the
is
biggest
the worst
problems,
job the committee has done.
But
I think
haven't they? And I haven't seen it with my own eyes, but I heard people talking about it. Aren't the BCS computer rankings exactly the same?
Very
for the
close.
most part. Yeah,
very close.
So it's not like they're fucking it up that much.
No, but I just think that where they F it up is they don't explain it well. Like, they don't explain their thought process.
That's
like
why
they
I
don't
don't
just
read
come
any
out and
of
tell us like why. I know, but like they do say stuff sometimes where they slip up and say something like the thing about the back-to-back. Well, it's harder to do it when they're not back-to-back. It's like, well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But if that's the case, then you're setting that up for it to happen this weekend, and then you're going to flip Notre Dame back.
I think one of the biggest problems that they have is the way that they talk about these teams. Instead of with like the pods and all the different like bullshit that they throw out there, the fact that, you know, they could even stand in front of ESPN or, you know, the TV show and say that, well, we haven't talked about Notre Dame and Miami like they did a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. That's insane to me.
They got to get rid of.
I thought that was ridiculous.
The solution. The problem is they got to get rid of conference championship games. They got to get rid of automatic qualifiers. You have to just say we're taking the best 12 teams, and I think that's the way to do
that way, though.
But I think the way to do that is by taking away the conference championship game and replacing it with play-in games.
And unless the SEC and the Big Ten join up and then add some stragglers and have their own championship, I just don't think that's ever. You're never going to have the best 12 teams or the best 16 teams.
Why not?
Because you're gonna have to let in, you know, a Sun Belt team or an American team.
Why do they have to do that?
I think
because they're in the NCAA.
I think they should let them in and play playing games. Let the G5s figure out some type of formula where you take the Sun Belt winner, you take the American winner, you take the MAC winner, everybody.
Yeah.
And you say, hey,
everybody has a rep.
They have their own
playoff. You guys are playing for, let's say, I'm at the point now where it, just expand it. Go to 16.
Yeah.
And let 4 G5 schools in. They could be
not 4.
You don't need
they could play each one or something. I don't know. I'm just throwing out numbers.
I say you let 2 in and you have some sort of play in.
I do understand the argument, though, of you can't go to these G5 schools and basically say you play under the same rules as everybody else, but you don't have an opportunity to play for the championship.
But I'm not saying that they shouldn't have an opportunity at all. I'm just saying if one of them runs the table one year, like Cincinnati did a few years ago, and they were 12-0, 13-0, whatever they were, and they got into the 14 playoff, then yeah, put them in. If they're one of the best 16, 12 teams, whatever, how many teams you want to put in this thing, yeah. Like this year, Tulane, if there was a 16-team playoff, they would have a legitimate chance to just get in as just hey, we think they're one of the 16 best teams in the country.
Yeah.
I just think this idea that they, like, in a year like this, where it's very clear none of them are a worthy team of being in, same with the ACC, why are they being let in?
Because you will find people that say that, using that example that James Madison is having a special year, just like that Cincinnati team was. Although I would say it's clearly two different spectrums.
Yes, and that's why I just don't understand. Like, just take the best however many teams you want to put in there, no matter what the qualifications are. I mean, but they're never going to get rid of. I mean, they need the solution is getting rid of championship weekend and making it play-in weekend. And you take
that'd be sick.
It'd be awesome. Like, you have the top 8 teams in the SEC, and you have 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, and the 4 winners they go.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
We just solved it.
They have to figure out how to make enough money by changing the scenario that they can go to the group of 5 teams and say, you're going to get this much more money, but you're not going to have a place in the tournament.
But who wants to watch the group of 5? That's the problem. Like, you're talking about money. If the big conferences say, hey, we want to have play-in games, and instead of having 1 conference championship game, we're going to have 4 extra SEC football games all on the line to go to the playoff. Like, more people would want that than say, oh, we got to have a G5 team in for, whatever money reasons.
I get it. I mean, it makes sense from a fan standpoint. I'm just saying from
it makes sense from a money
standpoint. The NCAA is going to be bureaucratic.
You can have a play-in in the G5.
I think that would make more money. Like, would a TV not be more excited about that than televising?
You can make Friday night the G5 play-in games. You could make Friday night where you say whoever won the Americans playing the MAC champion and the winners going to the playoff, and like you could make it Sun Belt
have
and
an Emirates Cup
Mountain
for
West
college football.
Yeah, bring the Saudis on. That'd be awesome.
But I mean, it's an airline. Might be owned by Saudis, but
I don't know. I do think though this thing's going to 16 next year. It's going to happen. Too many people are pissed off, and they're programs.
Too many. I mean, Miami and Texas are pissed off.
Vanderbilt's pissed off, but Miami and Texas are pissed off. Those are huge programs. They're gonna. I think that it's been turning towards 16 anyway.
And guess what? You expanded to 16. There are going to be more people that are pissed off that are outside the 16.
Yeah, but I think it's 16.
I think we're starting to push it though at 16. We're already pushing it at 12, aren't we?
Yeah. There's not 12 teams that can win the national championship in Division I football. There just aren't.
No,
but do you think? I think though. Do you think Miami could win the national title?
No.
I mean, they could.
I think they could.
I think anybody, to an extent, could with that type of talent.
Yeah.
Could find the right rhythm. I mean, I don't think that any of us sitting here days after Michigan beat Ohio State a year ago said, you know what, Ohio State's going to win the national championship.
And it's I hate this argument because it's like I hate that I just asked that question. It's like, can they win it? I don't know if they can win it, but if you told me they could be, the odds-on favorite Ohio State in a 1-game playoff, I would say yes, and then that would result in maybe somebody else winning the national title this year, and that should be the argument. It's the same thing with like Vanderbilt in Texas. Like, I think that they could knock someone off that they're not supposed to in a 1-game playoff.
But could they go through the gauntlet?
I don't know, but it doesn't matter because the domino effect of what that would mean for the rest of teams in the playoff.
I think the only team that can win it has to be hard to kill, and I think OU's going to win it.
I do think Oklahoma. Think Oklahoma can win a game.
It could be fun. It's a lot more exciting to talk about this than it was 365 days ago when
how
we were
they going to stop
previewing
Navy?
How they were going to stop Blake Horvath, what they couldn't do.
Anyways,
I guess they did for the most part.
I am fascinated who Oklahoma ends up playing. I hope it's not Alabama.
I will
because
say
I want them to play somebody new.
It was brought up today at the press conference, and I did not realize this. I didn't even think about it. So the 4 playoff games in that opening weekend, the Friday, then the 3 on Saturday, the first 2, Friday night and Saturday morning at 11 a.m., are the only ESPN broadcast. The other 2 are TNT. So I don't know if that is a telltale sign on like when Oklahoma would play, but I would think like an OU Notre Dame, that has a very good chance of being the Friday night game.
That'd be awesome. I'm all for the Friday night game.
I don't really have an opinion.
It's as long as it's not. I hope it's not 11 a.m. though.
Yeah, that would suck.
No, that would suck.
That would suck.
No, I want it to be a night game.
Oh, you got 2 choices: Friday at 7 or Saturday at 7.
All right.
Anyways.
Well, happy signing day, everybody. It's been a fun show, been a fun day. And now we wait for championship games to be played this weekend, wait for the final college football rankings to come out on Sunday. We do know that the players will be gathered for that. I don't know if they'll be on television being shown on ESPN or anything like that.
I'm sure they will be.
But there's not going to be any media there. We probably are going to talk to Brent after it's over, though, in some form or fashion. So yeah, we'll have a show on Sunday night, breaking it all down here at Sooner Scoop headquarters and on YouTube and all your podcast platforms. So yeah, that's going to do it. We'll be back again next week where we'll know exactly who OU is playing and when they're playing. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be back again next week for another edition of the Unofficial 40 Podcast right here on Soonerscoop.com.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. You know, one of the perks about having 4 kids that you know about is actually getting a direct line to the big man up north. Mm-hmm. And this year, he wants you to know the best gift that you can give someone is the gift of Mint Mobile's unlimited wireless for $15 a month. Now, you don't even need to wrap it. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.